Today, we commemorate World Suicide Prevention Day to raise awareness and increase efforts to treat those who need it. What are the warning signs and what can we do to help persons experiencing distress? Let's get some advice from the Philippine Mental Health Association's Dr. Anthony Grecia. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. It's already been reported that we're seeing the number of suicide cases in the Philippines continuing to increase from 2019 to 2020.
Yes,
Let's start from the very beginning, the warning signs. Suicidal thoughts, escalating due to economic hardship, feelings of isolation, exhaustion, and mental stress among Filipinos. This is a major problem.
Yes. As an occupational therapist, one of the things that we look at is we consider the social distancing, the mobility, and the quarantine restrictions. So all of these changes affect our actually routine. It disrupts our routine, and we slowly change our routine, and then our sense of control and predictability is actually challenged. So this sense of loss with the usual activities that we do and interactions with people that we usually do, it affects how people feel. They end up feeling anxious about it, worried, at times sadness because they cannot do it anymore, or at times frustration, or at times combination of all these feelings.
So doctor,
and then
yes. Are there cases when the person does not even give any verbal hints or actions about their suicidal thoughts?
Yes, there are such cases. So it's important first to look actually at their routine. Usually the signs that we see is that there's changes in terms of their interest when it comes to the usual activities that they do. So for adults, they could be not motivated to work anymore. For younger population, for adolescents, it could be they usually do sports or school and suddenly they're not interested anymore. That's one change. The other changes could be in their sleep or in the way they eat. Okay, so there could be specific changes in the routine and behavior that could indicate that there are already negativistic and suicidal thoughts in their mind.
So doctor,
of course, it's different when they verbalize it.
But doctor, what should we do? I mean, if we are faced with this kind of situation at that stage of their suicidal thoughts, if there's no psychiatric assistance, and if those initial signs are starting to manifest themselves?
So we have to look at also what usually the person would say. If the person would end up saying, it's better that I'm not here, or it's better that I'm not alive anymore. No, those are indicators. No, and then it's important to treat them seriously. The World Health Organization advocates for what we call live life approach to suicide prevention. So live life, the L stands for limit the access to means of suicide. And it's important to also interact with media on responsible reporting of suicide, such that we do not heighten the suicide approach. And then it's important to foster social, emotional, and life skills to young people. It's important that the young people are aware that life is not all about happiness, and there are a lot of stress, and at times, there are different feelings that we have to deal with in a day or in our lives. And it's important that parents, and people in general are able to identify the behaviors related to suicide.
Yeah, but let's say, doctor, if family members or friends cannot anymore handle the situation and have no immediate access, let's say, to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, are there crisis hotlines if one needs immediate help?
Crisis, yes. The DOH advocates for a crisis hotline, which is there's 0917-899-USAP. But also in the Philippine Mental Health Association, we have a remote contact number. It's at 0995-093-2679. So these are the numbers that they could contact No, but it's important that if the person is there and there's no access yet, it's important to not leave the person alone. No, it's important to make sure that the person is safe. Okay, that's the first step. And then it's important to listen, no, without judgment to the person as he or she verbalizes his thoughts. When I say listen, no, it's important that the person listening is not the one talking, and the person listening or the adult listening is not judging whatever the other person is saying, no, and not also predicting or making the person problem solve. So it's important to listen first to the concern and whatever the thoughts and the feelings of the person are. Because right now and it's also important to be open, no, to talk about suicidal behaviors, because we have to avoid those stigma that these cannot be talked about, or when the more that you talk about suicide, the more that they might commit. No,
Right.
it's actually okay to talk about suicidal behaviors. But one thing to remember, suicide is actually a manifestation of unmanaged or untreated mental health condition.
Right. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Thank you so much for that very important advice that you've shared with our viewers today on mental health. Philippine Mental Health Association, Dr. Anthony Grecia.